Hello. Long time no see. Um, Sorry about that. So I wanted to do a short video update for you all because I know I got a shout out I want to say like a couple weeks ago from Radical Ramblings, which was great. I really appreciate that. And I know um, I haven't posted anything in a very long time, and so I wanted to kind of tell you where I've been and what's been going on and where I'm going to be going with things. So I a lot has happened. I got married. Um, I moved across the country, and I am about to start a job in a trade. So I'm really excited about that. Kind of getting out of more of the social field, social work, and teaching adjacent fields that I've done in the past. I have a lot of feelings about those fields, and I just don't think that it's right for me anymore. So I'm excited to start something new, especially something that will have me working very directly with something. I'm going to be working with machinery and stuff, and that just really excites me. The thought of being able to sort of put puzzles together and actually build something is really really cool to me. So I'm excited about that. Um, and over the last year, as far as anything relating to detransition stuff goes, I really haven't been super active. I kind of, well, first I took a step back from Twitter because it was really impacting my mental health. And I feel like that mode of communication is really unhealthy to be having such serious dialogues. And everyone who's on there, you fall into um, your echo chamber. No matter where you stand with things, there's always going to be some group that kind of aligns with your views. And the more you fall into that group and dig your heels in, the less you are likely to humanize anyone who is outside of that group who agrees with you. Um, and so, and I mean, I've been on that side where I've sort of fallen into that way of thinking. Um, and I just felt like the transitioners, as far as social media goes, were really being exploited by a lot of different groups and people. I, for one, have had a lot of involvement with a lot of different groups. It's not, I'm not like a poster child for any one particular group. And there's certainly other detransitioners out there who are more consistently vocal and get a lot more social media attention and what have you. But I have been involved in a lot of these groups at various points, and it got to a level where my ideas were being stolen, research that I had done was being stolen, and I was being excluded from groups based on the fact that I am a lesbian, or based on the fact that I wasn't actively seeking help. Now, I think that's a big part of the exploitation right there. Is a lot of these groups are claiming that they are offering help to detransitioners, and for one, that's very infantilizing to suggest that because someone has been through transition and is now detransitioning, that we are just so shattered from this experience. I mean, obviously, we come out of it needing a lot of things that were not provided to us. But I don't see these groups really offering very much other than an opportunity to pat themselves on the back, to be honest. And so anyway, that all boils down to me deciding, okay, I've been trying my best, I've been trying my damnedest to make change happen in very specific ways. I, in particular, was very heavy on the medical aspects because the medical effects of transition have affected me so much, that I was really trying to promote that we do more research, that we push the FDA. I know the FDA is really flawed, but we push the FDA for greater reflection and regulation, and that we enforce age limits and time limits and things of that nature, so that we can get a good basis of each individual person's health. Now, realistically, these are all things that I think could be done. It would take a lot of work, and potentially a lot of money. But it also isn't very glamorous, and it's very tedious. You have to have a lot of patience, collect a lot of data. I also lost my train of thought. I just felt like those things were put on the back burner, and really what was put as a priority was, let's get detransitioners to tell their sad stories, to essentially guilt people into agreeing with us. Now, I personally still feel like transition is not right for anyone. I think that it is a devastating flaw of medicine to give anyone these drugs, and to claim that it helps. And I think that building a society based on this medicalization, but not addressing the fact that we are essentially just medicalizing mental illness with improper techniques, that when we're trying to hide that fact, it's really chaotic, and that we should ask for at least the bare minimum of, if you're going to use these drugs, treat it like any other medication, and it's not treated that way currently. So in any case, that was always kind of my battle, right? And I got pretty much laughed out of groups because of that. And I had a lot of groups who were like, but we have to save the children, or, but the social aspects. And I was like, look, I don't disagree with you, but I'm trying to get across that there are steps that we can take that might indirectly address some of this, and also help people, even if it's not as drastic as we might idealize. So with that conflict in mind, I just got frustrated. I mean, I've been detransitioned for over 6 years now, and I've been over time pushing this more and more, and getting very little positive feedback or very little help from anyone, even if they claim that they are trying to help detransitioners. So that's all to say, I have had good experiences. I'm not trying to, shit on every, collaboration I've ever had with anyone. That's not it at all. But it got to a point on Twitter where that felt kind of like my only interactions with people on there. And so that's why I left, was I just got so frustrated. I also saw an increasing amount of homophobia that was being associated with people who are anti-transition, and a lot of sexism, a lot of anti-woman rhetoric. And I just decided, no, not going to be a part of it anymore. Y'all do what you're going to do. Because, they're going to get a pretty good following for a lot of that stuff, unfortunately. And meanwhile, bunch of the rest of us are kind of shrugging our shoulders, like, I guess fuck me, right? I guess I'll do all this stuff on my own. And the input that I have from my personal experiences with this stuff means jack shit if it doesn't fall into your line of thinking and your priorities. So I left that space, and I still maintained contact with a lot of people, and primarily detransitioners. One thing that I'm excited about is there's a psychiatrist, Dr. Hakim. I'm sorry, let me make sure I'm saying his name correctly. And Dr. Hakim, he is publishing a book on detransitioners, and essentially, I don't have yet a publication date. I am going to reach out to him soon about that. Last I heard from him was last month. So it's still kind of in the works. But from my understanding, it's primarily detransitioners explaining kind of the processes that we went through, as far as how many doctors have we seen? Did we get like an official diagnosis? And then what medical repercussions there might have been and such. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows my health has just been in the toilet since I started synthetic steroids. So I mostly talked about that, but I did talk a little bit about my past and how the way that I grew up and the things that I encountered early on in my life really impacted my decision to transition. And so I will hopefully find out about when that book comes out soon, but do keep an eye out for Dr. Hakim's book. He has another book out, and I'm ashamed to say I have not read it. It's also about transition. I believe that book is a little bit more pertaining to children who transition and parents' involvement. But this new book is focusing a lot more on detransitioners. So cool stuff. And then I've been involved in a number of private detransitioner groups and such. Again, kind of getting out of that space a little bit more, trying to essentially just move on. Because after I left Twitter and stopped with like the social media stuff, I realized like it was taking over my emotions a lot, and it was causing me undue stress to think about like nothing's changing. It's all the same, and now we're just adding in homophobia, and now we're just adding in gender stereotypes and restriction and being a trad wife and all that nonsense. And it just was bothering me so much in my life away from social media. I was like, maybe I need to just take a step back and let the new kids handle it if they want, support them. But overall, I just need to be done. The truth of the matter is, as far as like my emotions and my mental health go regarding transition, I'm great. I don't really have any residual problems with respect to me being female and discomfort around that. Now, I do still have like PTSD and some trauma from some assaults that happened in my past. But as far as like the trans stuff and dysphoria goes, that's really not relevant. So I feel like I'm doing really well. And like I said, I got married. I am so happy in my life in general, that I'm really trying to focus on that. I'm really trying to prioritize that, and sort of just builds my life to be what I want it to be. I have been having some newer medical issues, which is great. It appears that my endometriosis is back. Now, if you remember, I had one surgery that was to excise the disease, take it out. And then I had a second surgery, which again, it had come back. So get the disease out. And in that surgery, I also had a hysterectomy, removing uterus and cervix, because they were diseased with something called adenomyosis, which is similar to endometriosis, only that it affects the uterus. Um, so uterus, cervix, gone. And then I experienced ovarian failure after that. And was put on supplemental estrogen. Now, the trick with supplemental estrogen, I was on an extremely low dose, but that being said, it can trigger a resurgence. So my doctor did make that clear to me, but I was willing to take the risk. Maybe it was foolish. I don't exactly regret it. I stopped taking the estrogen a couple months ago, with the resurgence of these symptoms, and I just like physically feel like crap. Everything hurts all the time, and my sleep is impacted, and I just have very little energy. Whereas when I had the estrogen, I don't want to say it was like a miracle or anything like that, because it wasn't that dramatic, but it definitely made me feel a little bit more balanced. So I'm currently in the process of trying to find a specialist where I currently live, since I moved not that long ago. So like all my specialists and my care team was all back in the Pacific Northwest. So working to kind of build up that new team out here, which has been a challenge, especially since I require female only staff, and they are refusing that to me right now. They say has to be a male doctor or no doctor, and that's pretty frustrating. So working on that. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get them to understand, like, you don't know how many times I've been violently assaulted and how uncomfortable it makes me to have a man down in that region, even if he's a good guy, even if he's a good doctor and he's just doing his job. That doesn't matter to me as a patient, because it brings up so many instinctual things in me that I have to. I basically am trying to like emotionally regulate while I have some doctor with, a transvaginal ultrasound thing stuck to my coochie. So it's not a pleasant experience. I've done it before, but I much prefer a female gynecologist and specialist. When it comes to things like surgeries, or like I recently had to go to the eye doctor, that stuff I don't care as much about. But when it comes to my reproductive health, female doctors only. So anyway, yeah, it seems like my endo might be back. Like I said, I went to the eye doctor recently. I've been having some vision problems, and it turns out I've got some sort of autoimmune disorder thing going on. Still extremely, extremely early stages of figuring out what that is. There's tons of autoimmune disorders out there. Could be, who knows? So gonna try and figure that out. Which, it all sucks. I do feel like my health, my declining health, I should say, has been a lot more rapid since I took synthetic steroids. I can't imagine half of this stuff happening if I hadn't messed with my body. There's always a chance some of this would have gone on. There's no family history of endometriosis that I'm aware of. And genetics is a small part of that, though it's not the only part. So, it's hard to say. It's hard to say exactly. I do feel like a lot of it was triggered by this, though. And so that's like kind of a depressing thing, a depressing reminder of like, well, maybe if you hadn't fucked up your whole system with this drug you didn't need that didn't really solve anything, maybe you'd be living a healthier life. But some good news. I have had some success with diet changes and exercise changes, which have been good. My mental health is doing really well, actually. I got a little bit of a change in diagnosis. I was diagnosed schizoaffective depressive type about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Schizoaffective is essentially schizophrenia with a mood disorder. And I was diagnosed at 17 with schizophrenia. And the diagnoses have just evolved since then. But recently, my doctor and I were going over a sort of manic episode I had recently. Nothing bad happened. It was just more alarming. Just be like, whoa, what's going on? I'm not sleeping for 4 nights, and I have all this energy, and just very sudden, like very short but sudden bouts of energy and irritability and stuff. And she said, well, that's more indicative of schizoaffective bipolar type than depressive type. So that's been kind of the more recent change in my mental health. But I mean, even with that stuff, my mental health is generally pretty good. I have a great support in my wife and my roommates. Still trying to get to know people out here. I don't start work until November. Excuse me. So I've mostly not really been doing much with my time, to be honest. I've done some like arts and crafts here and there, doing a lot of like volunteering around the neighborhood to like clean up the trash and stuff that's around here. Trying to like sort of stay active, exercise, things like that. But yeah, I haven't really had a big opportunity to make friends with people. My wife and I went to a lesbian-owned bar back in June, I think, May or June. And problem is, neither of us drink, so we're not really helping the bar out. And we found out that this month, in like a week, the bar is changing ownership, and they are switching over to be a queer bar. So, that's great. Fantastic. Love it. Love it. And granted, like, keep in mind, like, this lesbian bar, like, they hadn't been there. Like, it was more like emphasis on lesbian culture and lesbian music and stuff like that. But they had male patrons that were there. So I don't, they're just going to queer it up, I guess. So that's great. But again, my wife and I don't drink, so not like socially a huge loss to us personally, more just like a collective loss. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything on my updates. I did want to say, so after I've been taking this break and everything, I put a lot of thought into it and decided I am not going to be making any more YouTube videos or do any more streams on YouTube regarding detransition. With all said and done, I need to move the fuck on. And I know some people might be a little upset with me about that because they feel like, I have a responsibility to be an informant to others and such and such. I'm going to keep my videos up for now. I might end up archiving them at some point. I'll let you know before I do that. But as for anything new, I can't. And it's funny because like I'm such a procrastinator and I'm so bad at committing to actually doing stuff. Like I'll say like, oh, I'm going to do this video. I'm going to do this part 2. And obviously I never did it. I have all the stuff that I would need for that. So what I might do is I might send some of that to some of the other D-trans women I know and see if they would want to use it. Which, if not, whatever. But yeah, I need to be done with that part of my life. And still going to support other detransitioners just in a more private, individual sense. And I also am going to be starting a new channel that I don't want to exactly connect to this channel. I'm still kind of waffling about that because, like, if anyone here would be interested in that content, that would be really cool. But at the same time, I don't want anyone who would be interested in this new channel to be put off by any of this stuff, because it's going to be very different. So my new channel, what I'm going to be focusing on is doing horror movie reviews. Now, hear me out, okay? Since before all the trans stuff, okay, I have always loved horror movies. And it's been my dream to be involved with horror movies. I've made some, I've acted in some, I've done makeup, I've done all sorts of stuff. And what I really love to do is just do reviews. It's pretty simple. I already take apart movies when I watch them because I'm pretentious. And I did go to school originally for film, so I know a lot about various theories and styles. And I would like to be able to apply that to horror movies while also applying a radical feminist lens to them. Now, I know you might be thinking, how the hell is this girl saying that a horror movie can be radical feminist? Well, I will get to that on the channel. But it's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for most people. And that's fine. But it's something I really want to do. And I'm excited about it. I'm almost finished with the first video of the series. I haven't created the YouTube account yet. I'm still trying to figure out a name for this channel. So if you can think of some way to integrate feminism and horror movies into a YouTube name that's not super cringy, I would really appreciate your ideas. But I do have a couple of ideas of my own, so I'm hoping to get that all finished, polished, and set up by maybe next week or the following week, depending on my schedule. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with things. Again, everything's been surprisingly chill, and maybe it's the old fogey in me or something, but I am happy with settling down and just kind of backing out of a lot of stuff and be like, you know what, I did my part, I did what I could. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground for anything too. I do still lurk on Twitter a little bit. I still am involved in the detrans subreddit and everything, but overall, as far as my actual constant activity, I can't handle that anymore. I don't want to. It doesn't bring me anything. And I really need to prioritize my own stuff. So that's what I'm doing. But I hope you're all well. I'm sorry if I disappointed with my inconsistencies with posting. I'm sorry if, anything that I said was not elaborated on. If there was anything that you were like, oh, I wanted to talk about this more, and you never did. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sorry for my opinions. I am not sorry for stating facts about transition. I'm not sorry for having a long-term perspective on how transition and trans ideology affects women. But yeah, I hope you're all well. And I hope you're taking care of yourselves. And yeah, thank you for following this channel. If people decide to unsubscribe, I understand. Like I said, I will post a note saying if and when I decide to archive any videos. Still unsure about that, but if I do, you'll get a heads up. But yeah, thank you very much, and take care.